Greetings. This is Justin Allen with the Elite Nurse Practitioner. Welcome to the Elite Nurse Practitioner Show, podcast dedicated to nurse practitioner entrepreneurism and achieving financial freedom, where I talk directly with nurse practitioners who need help. Listen up, our market is saturated. Jobs can be scarce. We are underpaid. We are undervalued. We are taken advantage of by the sharks within the healthcare system, and frankly, screw that. I'm sick of it, and it's time for a change. And listen, I'm here to help make that happen. We are powerful. We can forge a path where we are in control of our career and ultimately our financial and personal well-being. You do not need to submit to healthcare administrators and your doctor overlords. You do not have to take a measly salary. You do not have to work 50 to 60 hours a week. There is a different way, and I'm here to show you that path. This podcast is raw and unfiltered. I have not talked to the nurse practitioners in this podcast prior to the call outside of an email exchange to schedule the episode. What you're about to listen to is a consultation session between a nurse practitioner and myself. It is real, it is unscripted, it is unplanned, and I have no idea what we're going to talk about. Anything and everything can happen during our conversation. The nurse practitioners in these episodes are struggling with an issue in their professional or financial life, and they have reached out to me for help. My goal is to help the nurse practitioner with actionable advice that will enhance and improve their professional, business, and financial life. My other goal is to hopefully help my nurse practitioner sisters and brothers build a more productive, powerful, and free life. So I hope the content and information within these podcast episodes does just that. All right, onto the episode. Hello, everyone. Today, we'll be talking to Rachel, who is a family nurse practitioner. Currently, she works full-time managing a telemedicine company that focuses on managed care. She started a DPC practice about 10 months ago, but it has slowly turned into more of a weight loss clinic. She's needing help with setting boundaries with her patients, managing her time better, how to grow her practice, and when it is time to call it quits at her full-time job. Hey, Rachel, how are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing good. Thanks for hopping on here. Appreciate you taking some time out of your day and talking with me.
No, thank you. I know I have a ton of questions.
Yeah. Okay, well, hopefully I can help you out. So let's go ahead and just get started. So bring us up to speed with kind of where you're at. So you're working full-time and you also started this practice. So just kind of summarize that up.
Yeah, absolutely. So I started as an FNP about 5 years ago. And last year, I just got tired of seeing 30, 60 patients a day in family practice. So I found a telehealth company position. And I also started my DPC around the same time. Well, they kind of moved me into a management position over the last few months, which has taken a toll. And I'm starting to see a lot more patients in the DPC, or more in the weight loss side of the DPC than anything.
Okay. So this company that you're working for, I'm just kind of curious, like, what is it that you do exactly?
So they're more like managed care. They try and make sure that the insurance companies are keeping people out of the hospital and that people are getting cared for in home. So I manage a group of about 20 nurse practitioners and PAs and just make sure that they kind of stay busy and that they're taking care of the patients. And it's all telemedicine.
Ah, cool. Interesting. All right. So I'm assuming you probably want to try to get out of that and focus more on your business, right?
Absolutely. So,
Yeah.
I'm in hiring, and I'm hiring people that are making more money than I am because of my state.
Really?
Yeah. And that bites my bottom. I do not like it.
I'd say you don't. I'd say it pisses you off.
Exactly. So it's like, I get it that people that live in, Massachusetts and New York, they have a higher cost of living than Texas, but it is one of those things that's like, I can make more money on my own.
Oh, 100% you can. Yeah. I mean, any nurse practitioner listening to this right now, like, you can make a lot more money on your own. You just definitely can. So you started this practice then, I guess, about 10 months ago or so. That helped you kind of see the light in terms of being able to make your own way in life and actually get paid what you're worth?
It didn't at first. So at
Sure.
first it was such a struggle. And so April, we formed it, and then we had a lot of problems getting a lease. And then we're literally in the building now. As of last week, we finally got our keys to the brick and mortar, but it wasn't until about April where it just started doubling. And it wasn't the DPC members. I haven't actually marketed that yet. It was all weight loss people. And every month we're doubling. Like right now, technically I'm making my salary that I'm making at the management position.
I applaud you. Nice.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's been
fantastic.
hard.
Yeah. It's not easy. Starting a business was easy. Everyone would be doing it. It is easy to start it, but it's just more or less it can be a struggle. You know what I mean? Like setting up a business is a piece of cake. It's just getting it to be successful is the difficult part. So
Exactly.
yeah. I mean, anyone can start a business, fairly quickly. So yeah, well, congratulations. That's awesome. I'm happy to hear that, within a year period, you've almost managed to completely replace your salary. That's awesome. Hell yeah. You're definitely on an upward trajectory here. And so you said that it's just snowballing. Every month it just tends to get better and better and better.
Exactly. Like, and that's the problem with the management position is I have time blocked because I have a lot of meetings. And last week I had to fly to another state and I couldn't see my patients. I had to completely push everything off. So I'm blocking time, but I'm running out of time. So I'm running out of slots for my patients.
Right. So now you're sacrificing your time for someone else that doesn't really truly benefit you.
Not at all. And
Yeah.
it's one of those things where, like, tomorrow, I don't have any appointments booked for meetings for my management position. So I have, I think, 10 to 15 new patients tomorrow.
Oh, wow.
And each day that I have free, it's like that. But then on the days that I have meetings, I can only get in 2 or 3 patients.
Right. Well, you have a lot of good problems here. Yeah. I mean, these are good problems. I think that eventually for anyone who starts their own practice and also, continues working, I mean, I did it. So have a lot of others. I mean, I think it's the safest way to do it because you maintain that income, right? So it's less of a risk. So, in that situation, you will get to a point where your business needs more of your time and you cannot get it to grow any further until you're able to leave your job. Are you starting to kind of maybe see that?
I am. And I mean, I'm waking up at 6 in the morning and I'm going to bed at 11 at night and I'm working the entire time. And to throw another wrench in it, I homeschool the kids too. Like they have their own room at the clinic homeschooling.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
So I'm a little busy,
A little
to say
bit.
the least.
Little bit. Yeah. Yeah. You're gonna have to give up something here soon. And that's gonna either be your business or your job. And I'm sure we know which one that's gonna be, right?
Exactly.
So I guess where we get started here. What's your biggest problem?
My biggest problem is probably the DPC side. I've been getting some patients word of mouth for my DPC members, but the ones that I am getting, I need to set boundaries. They do not understand that this isn't 24/7 care, that it's one of those, they'll call me with a cough they've had for 3 days at 10 o'clock at night and expect a visit right then and there.
Mm. Okay, let's just look at the numbers here. You mean when it comes to things like this in your business, you have to quantify it. Okay, you have to quantify it to determine what is the appropriate route to take here. So, how much money are you making? Rough estimate last month. How much money did you make off weight loss?
11,000,
$11,000. And last month, what did you make on DPC?
$600.
$600. Okay. How much time are you spending on the DPC side versus the weight loss side?
I'm spending about 10 to 15 hours a week on the weight loss side, and I'm spending about 2 hours a week on the DPC side.
Gotcha. Well, I mean, the weight loss sounds, a lot more profitable. I guess what's bugging you the most? Is it just the calls, late at night, these just annoyances?
It really is. Like I'm getting text messages, I'm getting calls from these patients. And it's on things like, oh, hey, I just wanted to let you know I had indigestion, but it's gone now. I'm like,
Thanks.
you called me at 10 o'clock at night on New Year's Eve to tell me this. That's
Right.
awesome.
Hey, I had a smelly fart. Just letting you know. Should I be concerned? It's like, okay, thanks for telling me.
Exactly. So I was
Okay.
thinking of hiring a VA to help with that,
Uh,
but
yeah.
I don't know.
Okay. Well, how much are you charging a month for the DPC?
I'm charging 80 a month for the DPC,
Okay. How much are you charging a month for the weight loss?
200 the first month, and then 300 every month after that.
Okay. How much time would you say you spend on one weight loss patient a month on average?
30 minutes
30 minutes.
max.
How much time do you spend on a DPC patient a month average?
Goodness, an hour.
Okay. Well, you're obviously getting paid a lot less for the DPC, and with it comes a lot more headaches. So, I mean, how married are you to the DPC?
My fear is and this is why I haven't quit the management job yet, is what happens with semaglutide or the Ozempic comes off of the market for compound. And then what do I do with all these patients?
Right. It's a
That's my
valid.
fear.
Yeah. Okay. It's a valid fear. I've heard this fear from a lot of other people too. Like, what happens to the compounding pharmacies can't, make these medications anymore? Listen, in my opinion, I think it is a fool's errand and a waste of time to worry about stuff that's out of your control. It doesn't help. Yes, you should have contingency plans. You should have some redundancy here and be thinking to yourself, what if? But completely stalling the growth of your business over one fear that's probably not going to happen, I think is not a very smart thing to do from a business standpoint. Listen, these compounding pharmacies have figured out ways around it. They can add B12 to it and these kinds of things get around patent laws and whatnot. Okay.
Awesome.
Yeah. So I wouldn't worry too much about it. There's always going to be some compounding pharmacies that are going to be compounding this stuff. There's always ways to pivot too. You can always pivot from here. There's other meds. You could always just give them a good old fashioned prescription and just let them know, hey, listen, I'm sorry, but the semaglutide, the cheap semaglutide is not available anymore. So here's a prescription, CVS, here's a discount coupon card or whatever. But I'm just letting you know it's going to cost a hell of a lot more money. And you just charge for the prescription and charge for the service. Okay. So, you're still going to make money. All right. So, you can pivot, but you can just pivot on, other meds as well. Okay. There's always going to be, other options as well. Maybe it's not going to be as good as the semaglutide, but there's other options. There's good old fashioned phentermine and, these things. So I don't know. In my opinion, I'm personally not too worried about it. It's like being worried about the FDA coming down and getting rid of bioidentical hormones or, that kind of stuff. Am I going to stall my men's health practice over something that could happen?
No. And that's one of the other things that I was trying to do is how to branch out, like kind of, how do I put this? Get into more men's health, get into more of the hormone replacement. So I have some redundancies in income because I'm not married to the DPC part per se. I'm just married to having a backup.
What things are you interested in?
I'm really interested in men's health and weight loss. I personally lost about 60 pounds when COVID hit the hard way. And then men's health. I see men in my life all the time that are really benefiting from testosterone. So I'd love to get that to take off.
Sure. Well, I guess let me ask you this real quick. I'm just curious. How did the weight loss start getting super popular? Because you originally opened up a DPC practice. How did that happen?
So when I started the practice back in about July, I put out some feelers for IV hydration because I thought, I'm going to do mobile IV until the clinic takes off. Well, I had 5 patients total since I started that in July. So I've kind of given up on that. I haven't reordered any more supplies. And then in September, October, I decided to just throw out some feelers. So I threw out an ad for testosterone. I threw out an ad for the semaglutide. And I threw out another one for the IV hydration, just a last ditch effort. I spent $10 a day on each ad. I got no takers on the IV or on the testosterone, but I started seeing, 10 patients the first week, 20 patients the next week, and it just started growing. And I just increased my ad spend back at the beginning of January to $20 a week.
Very nice. So you did some split testing, exactly what I talk about in the marketing course.
Exactly. And that's what I took your marketing course, your men's health, your women's health. Like I've bought like 10 courses just trying to figure out where to really push this.
Well, listen, you used the knowledge and you integrated it. And congratulations. You did exactly what I recommend. You just do some split testing and see what happens. Like the saying that I've said in other episodes, it's throwing a fishing line out there and seeing what bites, right?
And that was in my head. Literally, your voice was in my head when I was doing it. And I'm just like, okay, so weight loss is it. And
That's it.
Keeping it really tight. Like it's a 30-mile radius from the clinic is where I'm marketing. And I'm terrified to change my marketing ad because it's all coming from Facebook.
Okay. Don't touch it. Just let it keep doing its thing. Okay. But experiment with some other things too. You just answered your own question here, really. Like, how am I going to integrate other things into my practice? It's the exact same thing you just did for your weight loss. It's the exact same thing. Like, if you really want to do men's health, then you just start trying to pivot off that. Like, start throwing out a few ads out there. See if you can get some ads in some gyms or something, Hell, even some of the patients that you have that are on, that you're treating for weight loss, if you have some male patients, start talking to them about it. The cheapest way to market is to be marketing to your, established customer base because they're already customers, right?
Exactly. And I got a couple DPC members off of my weight loss members doing that. And those are the easy ones. It's more of these word of mouth DPC members that came from like my kids' extracurriculars that are like, oh, you do that. And I need to be a patient. And now they think they could call me 24/7.
Right. Well, If you gave up your job, if you left your job, you'd have more time and you could probably, stomach the DPC stuff a little bit more.
I bet I could. I think that
Right.
I'm overstressed because I loved primary care. And I remember that's why I wanted to do DPC in the first place was because of, 60 minutes with a patient.
Right. So listen, if you love it, then I'd say keep it. But I would say put the brakes on it. I would maybe hold off on taking on any new patients for it. If you get some people who are interested, just tell them, listen, I'm taking a 1 to 2 month break from accepting new patients. Let me put you on the wait list and I'll contact you in a month or two. Okay. So just do something like that. Like put the brakes on it for now.
Okay.
Put your focus in on where the money's coming in. The weight loss is where the money's coming in. So try to grow that as much as you can. Try to get as many patients as you possibly can get, and then start increasing the lifetime value of each one of those patients. So instead of just semaglutide, really start trying to hammer some hormone replacement therapy, things like that. I mean, do some blood work on them. If they have symptoms, they have low levels, talk to them about it. You know what I mean? Just don't start handing it out like candy. But I mean, do the evaluation, do it right, and you'll slowly start building up that patient base. Listen, all it takes is one police officer to start getting testosterone and men's health services from you, and the entire department comes in. Okay. Like all it takes is
Yeah.
one patient sometimes to be like an amazing referral source. And I'm sure you've already seen that with a couple of your patients already.
Oh, yeah. Teachers and nurses have been
Right.
my major referrals right now. I'm hitting all the elementary schools through the area.
There you go. For some reason, your practice speaks to those people. Roll with it. Like there's your target market: teachers, nurses, kind of middle upper class, kind of just female mom or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So there's something too you might pivot on to in terms of marketing. Maybe do some a little bit more specific ads based off of some demographic information on Facebook or whatever, and target that profession in your area. Have you done that yet?
I have. And that's kind of where the only thing I have changed with the ad each week is like I added in estheticians one time and then just tried to see if that worked out and it didn't. So the basis I've kept it with teachers, nurses, and realtors.
Okay. Well, listen, that's great. You've identified a target market and you're marketing directly to them. So again, I applaud you. This is why you have built a profitable business in just the last 6 months. Okay. Because you're doing things
Yeah.
right. You definitely got a mind for it. You're doing things correctly. Yeah.
Which brings me to another point, though, another question I kind of had. It's not just me though. So my husband graduated with his business degree and he's been really helping with the business and kind of pushing and he listens to all the episodes with me. And one of those things of how to pay him. Does he have to set up an LLC because he wants to more go into real estate? Do I pay him as a contractor that way or do I put him as a W-2?
I would just pay him as a contractor. If you were audited, they would want to see some sort of, actual like employment agreement or whatever to see exactly what he's doing. So it needs to be something that's contract, like contractor stuff. Like, so he's a consultant basically, and he's providing you consultory services. So yeah, so you can set up an LLC or whatever. You can pay that directly if you wanted to, or you can just pay him directly. I mean, it's just as a personal 1099. I mean, it's all the same thing at the end of the day.
Okay, awesome. Because,
Yeah.
yeah, I'd like him to pivot on making some more, just the redundancies, making more money on his.
Right. I mean, you guys file married, right? Like,
Yeah,
so I mean, it doesn't really matter. It's not going to change anything. I mean, the income tax bracket's the same if you guys are filing married. So, like,
sure.
doesn't really matter that much. You know what I mean? From a tax perspective.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. I mean, from a tax perspective, it doesn't really matter that much. What you would, from a tax reduction strategy, you would get more bang for your buck if you hired, your child to clean your office or whatever, and paid them less than 12,000 a year.
True. And I think I'm going to start that here pretty soon.
As you
We
should.
took your tax course as well because I've got 3 kids that can do it.
Yeah.
And then we're trying to figure out, my husband keeps saying, he's like, you have to set up the payment so you can file as an S Corp this year.
Yeah.
That has been the big thing, which I'm assuming I want to use just QuickBooks, I think, or would you recommend just subbing that out to like a management company or a service to handle payroll in that situation?
I mean, if it's just you and you have the time for it, I would just do it yourself through QuickBooks. I mean that's what I did for a while, and then I hired my accountant has a bookkeeper, so I just have them do it now, just because it's not worth my time to do it anymore. But at first, it was fine. I mean, you could definitely do that yourself, and you could definitely file for the S corp yourself too. You just got to send that one form to the IRS, elect as an S corp, and now you're going to be taxed as an S corp now, which is a smart
Awesome.
move because it can save you on the save you on the employment taxes.
Yeah, I'm going to drop your tax course on that one. That's where we've been getting a ton of information. It was a
Yeah.
great buy.
Yeah. Well, thanks. Thanks. Yeah. And then the kids, you could pay them up to $12,000 a year because the first tax bracket doesn't start until after 12,000. So anyone making less than $12,000 just doesn't pay taxes. So just pay them
Gosh.
$10 an hour or whatever, and have them come clean your office or whatever. Right.
Even on my teenagers, right? There's not an age that stops.
No. There's no age limit to that $12,000. Like even if you're 50 years old and you only make $12,000 a year, you're still not paying taxes.
Okay, cool. So
Right.
I know I've got a couple kids that are about to graduate and they're thinking of something to do during college.
Well, there
So
you go. You should pay them.
yeah, and that's where I need to get time back. And I hate to give things away, but I've got to find some time in here somewhere because I'm burning out.
Yeah, and that's not good. Your business is going to end up suffering. That's one thing that happens a lot of times to business owners is that once you start burning out, you can just tell the performance of the business starts decreasing. I mean, it's happened to me. It's happened to other people I've talked with. It's part of it. So how are we going to get you back some time here? First off, you're generating a great revenue. I say keep playing on the on the weight loss. Try to grow that as much as you possibly can, and then start throwing out more fishing lines for maybe a little men's health here and there, some hormone replacement therapy, whatever. Okay, if you're not opposed to it as well, female HRT is a great service as well. All right, so
Awesome.
yeah, so just try to maybe start, like I said, increase the lifetime value of your current customer base, and then start throwing out the fishing lines out there to try to start growing, the other stuff. Put the DPC on hold. Just keep your current patients, put it on hold, okay? So you can focus on more profitable stuff. You like primary care, so by all means continue doing it, but I just put the brakes on it for now. Now, your job, I mean, the only way you're going to get more time is if you leave this job or you drop to part-time. So where are you at financially here? Like, how much do you need that income?
I don't anymore. My husband could support us, no issue with his job right now. We don't have a ton of debt. I mean, he drives a 30-year-old vehicle and I drive a 15-year-old vehicle. So it's not an issue there.
Okay.
The one thing that kind of pauses me on that is, I mean, they're getting me licensed everywhere. I've been just every few weeks, I get a new license in another state, which is great, but I haven't even used that in the business yet. I can't even think of where to start to use that.
Well, first, don't you dare start expanding to other states until you have that time.
Yeah.
Like if you do that now, and you're burning out now, I mean, now you start marketing in other states and you start building up more patients that way. I think that it's just going to accelerate that burnout. I mean, don't you think?
Oh, I do. I can't. That's why I haven't done it yet. I mean, I'm sitting on like 12. I think
geez.
last count I had like 13 or 14 licenses right now.
So I
A
think
lot
you
of them
should.
are independent states.
Okay. I mean, I think you should definitely utilize that for sure. I think that should be like your growth strategy from as soon as you leave your job. I mean, if you're in a good place financially right now, like your husband makes good money, you don't have that much debt, your monthly burn rate in terms of your income goes, like if it's fairly low, utilize the blessed time you have. Like you're in a good position right now. So utilize it, take advantage of it, because you don't know 2 years from now, you might not be in that situation if you just kept doing the exact same thing you're doing now. You know what I mean? Because you never know what's going to happen, right?
Absolutely.
Right. So I say use what you have right in front of you right now. You're in a good spot. Take advantage of it.
Okay. It's probably time to quit the management position then. I just need to figure out what happens. I have, I think, 2 licenses pending that they'd started the process. So I might just have them, I don't know, I might just have them stop it. And if I want those licenses, I'll start them over again.
Yeah, don't worry too much about that. Don't make a $500 decision rule a $100,000 outcome. Okay. It's nothing. It's peanuts. All right. I hope everyone's enjoying the episode so far. I just wanted to take a quick break to thank everyone listening and also give a big thank you to all of my social media followers and email subscribers. If you haven't done so yet, please subscribe to our email list at www.elitenp.com and make sure to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. Email subscribers will receive updates on new weekly podcast episodes, multiple weekly articles we publish, new courses, and everything else related to helping you succeed. Remember, all elite nurse practitioner courses are designed to help you build a niche practice, increase your financial strength, and to break free from the rat race. If I can break free and that other countless nurse practitioners can break free, then so can you. Additionally, please share this podcast with your other nurse practitioner sisters and brothers out there. The more NPs that venture out on their own, the stronger our profession will become. Now, let's get back to the episode. I say get out of it. It doesn't sound like you're really all that thrilled about that job anyways.
No, it's a lot of stress. And I mean, I'm leaving my family to fly out of state to have dinner. Like, that's what it feels like. Like, I'm just going to wine and dine people, and that's just not my personality.
Yeah, leave it. Get out then. You're making $10,000 plus a month over here with your business. I mean, plus your husband could bring enough income in to, float you guys through comfortably. Like, you don't need it.
Yeah. And I think I just need to get over the fear that the compounding pharmacies are going to stop. I mean, I have 2 redundancies, and I've already been warning patients that, hey, if this happens, we're going to switch to this or we're going to switch to that. And they're still signing up. So,
Well, then, yeah, I wouldn't whisper that in your patient's ear. Just FYI. Don't instill the fear into them all. Don't make them anxious now. If it happens, you pivot. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I wouldn't.
Don't scare them away from
don't
the very
scare.
start.
Yeah, exactly. Don't do that. Never, ever do that. I mean, you should have them sign informed consent forms about the risks and whatnot, obviously, but like something like that, they don't need to know any of that.
Okay, cool.
Okay. Yeah.
No.
And like I said, you can pivot. You can put in someone on phentermine and metformin. I mean, it delivers pretty decent results too, So like, don't worry too much about it. There's always going to be something you're going to be able to do. Okay. I think leaving your job right now is probably going to be the best thing you can do from a growth standpoint for this business, because you're going to be able to have so much more time. When I left the urgent care, it opened up so much actual time, but it also opened up so much more mental energy for me that I probably almost doubled my business's revenue after I left the urgent care.
Really? Okay.
Absolutely.
And I see it happening. I mean, every month I'm doubling. It's taken off pretty fast. I mean, we're midway through the month, a little over midway through the month, and I have another 20 new patients minimum scheduled this week.
That's insane.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. Like, you're in a great spot. I say leave your job. You're going to be so much happier of a person.
I think so. I think that's the main burnout. I don't mind homeschooling the kids. I have great kids. I don't mind, working with these weight loss patients, and I try and add a ton of value. Like, we have nutritional counseling and we have weekly consults to make sure that they're doing good. And yeah, it's one of those things but when it comes to having to do the meetings and having to hire and fire and handle the management stuff, where I'm like, this isn't a big deal, but you're making mountains out of molehills, and it just irritates me.
Right. You're doing stuff you don't want to do. Who wants to do that?
No. So I think that would free up a ton of time. And then it's just with the paperwork, I think if I didn't have to kind of manage, okay, when are people due on their memberships? When are people due for renewal, the weight loss? I'm leaning towards getting a VA or an assistant just to make sure I don't drop anything so I can keep growing this.
Yeah, absolutely. You're getting to a point where you definitely need to have a little help.
Yeah.
No doubt about it.
Yeah, I see by the end of this month, we should be at about 80 weight loss people, I would say.
Okay.
Give or take.
Yeah.
I think that would probably be at about 80 on the membership for it.
Pretty awesome.
It's not a bad problem to have. It's more just like navigating the issues I do run into so I don't drop it, so I don't lose everything.
You're not going to lose everything. I mean, you're not going to. I mean, what could possibly happen to where you just like your business shuts down completely? You can't see any patients anymore. Like, even worst case scenario, like, this is something I've told other people before. Like, even like if you lost your license, let's just say something insane happens and you lost your ability to prescribe, you lost your nurse practitioner license, whatever. You know what? You just hire another nurse practitioner to take over your patients for you. Like,
you're right. I mean, you're absolutely right.
There's always a way to fix the problem. There's nothing that's ever going to happen that's going to be just so disastrous that you're on the street now. It's just, that's not going to happen.
No. And I mean, my husband's already like planning, okay, once you hit 200 members here, then we're going to get a secondary location and just go all the way around the Metroplex. Like, he's big braining this stuff here for me and really trying to scale it.
Well, you have someone fantastic on your side here too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you do. How many hours a week are you putting into that management job, give or take?
40, 50.
What are you going to be able to do with 40 or 50 more hours to put towards your business?
Oh, goodness. I mean, I'm doing this in what, 10, 12 hours a week.
Right.
So if I was doing it full time, I think I'd have 200, 300 members by now.
Easy.
Because
No
I'm
doubt.
having to put people out and I'm rushing people through visits because I'm like, oh, they just changed a meeting to my schedule. So now I have to reschedule you. And it gives a bad look.
It does. It does. And you know what? You're probably going to lose some patients from that every once in a while too, I'm sure. So listen, what happened to me was that like I wish I would have left my job completely years ago. But I always had this fear in the back of my mind that I needed to have a little bit of, I needed this income from this job. I always needed to have that job just in case. You never know what happens. And it was an unfounded fear, come to realize now. I mean, I haven't worked for someone else in over a year at this point. All right. I couldn't even imagine working for someone else anymore. Like it's never going to happen ever. I'll never work for anyone else ever again. But if I would have been able to conquer that fear earlier in my entrepreneurial journey, 2, 3, even 4 years ago, my net worth, I guarantee, would be 3 to 4 times what it is now. There's no question about it. I wish I would have not kicked that can down that road as long as I did. So,
Yeah.
so you are in a good spot. I mean, I didn't really have any other support. I mean, I just went through a divorce and blah 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 blah. I didn't really have any other income sources or anything. So like I had to do what I had to do, right? But you have that backup. So you're even, you're in a very secure position. You have a fantastic income stream coming in. So like you shouldn't have that fear. And I think that if you can overcome that, leave that job and put all your energy into this at this point during this growth spurt, it's going to pay off big time for you. I really think that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do it then. Cause yeah, that's the biggest stressor on me right now is there's never enough time in the day. I'm always having to prioritize of what's most important. And there's things that I know are dropping through the cracks and I just don't even know what they are at this point.
I guarantee you've probably given some stuff to patients for free and you didn't even know it.
Oh yeah.
You know
I
what I
I
mean?
know I have.
Yeah. And the patients are going to say anything to you. They're going to be like, oh, cool. You know,
Like, oh, that's great. I love her. And
right.
that's another thing. I mean, is really with the marketing, I'm trying to go more with Google to see if I can branch out now that we have the space. But like, let's say if I do pivot more to weight loss, the name of my practice is literally, it has direct primary care in the name.
Yeah. You're going to need to change that. I mean, you can function under that LLC and just do it as a DBA if you want, but you're going to need to do
Okay.
you're going to need to do some rebranding here if that's what you really want to pivot on.
Yeah. And in the meantime, like I've been selling it to patients like, oh, yeah, we found this weight loss program because our DPC members don't have insurance. And so it works really well for them. But we're just opening up to everybody. But then it's kind of like, well, if I don't do the DPC anymore,
You
I
can't.
do. I have to change it.
You can't. Yeah, and you can't say that same message.
No,
Do you feel like that's a selling point?
I think it is. People are just like, oh, she's hometown. She
Keep
gets it insurance.
keep the selling point. You don't need to change that. Why change it?
Yeah. Be like, I just don't have space for more DPC members right now.
Right, exactly. But you probably need to rebrand it because you probably get more patients. I mean, it'll be easier for people to find you if you had, whatever weight loss clinic or, whatever you want to name it. You're going to get more patients that way, but have that same message even for that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Insurance. Yeah.
Like,
No,
right,
I completely get it.
right. Like you've stumbled upon this great little niche demographic and this little niche message. I don't even think you even realize it. Like teachers and nurses and just, middle class working folks, and you're providing affordable care that delivers results. Like keep going with it. It's working.
Exactly. And then trying to branch out to like their husbands and their people, I think will get me into the men's health because that sounds super appealing to me.
It's fun. It's a fun niche. It really is. It's easy. It's easy. It delivers results. I mean, it's great. So yeah, I think you just need to do a little bit of rebranding. I think that you probably need to redo some of your website. You probably need to make multiple pages, maybe even make a completely separate page for the weight loss clinic. Go to the leadmp.com and click on all articles. Type in DBA, and there's 2 articles there you need to read. I kind of explain how to do it
Okay,
from like a
perfect.
marketing standpoint. Yeah. So just read those articles. It's pretty straightforward. Okay. Yeah. So just do this as a DBA. Just keep rolling with it. I think you're in a fantastic position.
I think so. And then and to kind of go back, just a quick question about the LLC with my husband. I know you had said before if you are working for somebody else work as a 1099 and you can funnel all that money into a new business. Does that still work? Like if I'm paying my husband 1099, can he funnel that into building up his own business?
Yeah, because it's LLC's getting paid. Now it's LLC's income. So now you can use that for that LLC's expenses.
Okay. Awesome. Awesome.
Right.
I think we're going to probably do that to bump it into real estate and just
Yeah.
instead of, because it's not a high cost. We already have the lease. We already have everything else. We can
Yeah.
dump all of our growth and our profit back into a new
Right.
venture.
Right. I mean, I'm not a CPA here, so there might be some nuances with it that it has to maybe be similar in nature or something. Because I know my CPA, I've done that with almost all my businesses. Like the foundation of all of my businesses was my medical cannabis clinic. And then the income from my medical cannabis clinic, I funneled up to my men's health clinic to build it. I funneled it to Elite NP. Like I funneled it to my real estate. Like I never paid myself a dime for my medical cannabis clinic. It was basically my money generator to build my other businesses. Okay.
Yeah.
That's what I did. But I realized my CPA categorized some of that as like loans from one business to another. Like so
get with a good CPA.
Get with a good CPA that understands this stuff. But if it's similar in nature, I believe you can just do that without a problem. Okay. So I mean, at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter that much because an LLC is a pass-through entity. So at the end of the day, all your taxes get put onto your personal return anyways. You know what I mean? So like, it doesn't really matter at the end of the day. It's just, you're still going to pay your taxes. Like there's no way around it.
No, true.
Right.
So it's just having the CPA to fix it.
Exactly. It's just how you categorize it and stuff, all their fancy accounting language and stuff. Yeah. So anyways, I would say if you don't have a good CPA at this point, you're making pretty good money and it's going to grow. You're going to start having money problems. Okay. Good problems to have, but they are problems. All right. More money, more problems is definitely true. So if you can get a good CPA on your side now, early in the game, and you utilize the strategies of the tax course and then have them actually execute those strategies, you're going to be in a good position. You're going to be able to keep more of your money.
Good. And that's on one of my to-do lists. And those are the things that I keep kicking the can.
Well, when you have more time, you'll be able to do that.
Absolutely. I like it.
Right, exactly. Like you don't even have time to talk to a CPA right now. That's just how stressed on time you are. Like that's not a good place to be.
No, I literally jump from one visit to the next meeting, to the next visit. And then in between there, telling the kids, okay, move on to this assignment. And then at some point, we still have to have dinner and go grocery shopping and have our lives. And there's never enough time.
You're basically just working in your business right now. You don't even have time to work on it, really.
No. I'm like, I got it to a certain point and it keeps growing. And I'm not really trying to make it grow right now. I'm not changing advertising anymore. It's just kind of like I'm letting the status quo flow. But word of mouth is really taken off too with some of these nurses and teachers. And so I've got to make a change soon because things are starting to slip through the cracks.
Yep. You're going to become a slave to your business eventually too, where it's not fun anymore.
Yeah, I don't want that.
No, you don't want that. I know a few nurse practitioners doing some very, very busy practices and they like, I feel like I am just a slave to my business now because they didn't prioritize working on it and delegating work to others and systemizing stuff early. So you need to be doing that now. I think you know this. And then also, like I said, don't worry about the stuff that's out of your control here, okay? Like the semaglutide issue and stuff. Don't let that hold you back. What if 2 years from now, it's still not an issue and you're sitting here looking back, you're like, damn it. Why did I let that fear hold me back?
True. And I mean, I already, like you said, have some things to pivot on. I mean, I've thought about it. I've got them in the background ready to go if I need them. So it's just, if I I said 20 a week. I'm sorry. I spend 20 a day on marketing right now. If I spent double that, I would grow things remarkably.
Right. In theory, you would double your patients, in theory.
In theory.
Right.
Exactly.
Right. Now imagine if you were spending $300 or $400 a day on it.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I could probably branch out and use some of those licenses and go multi-state.
Oh, 100%. That's when you're going to hire other nurse practitioners to help you because you're not going to be able to do it yourself.
Yeah, and I know how to manage people.
Yeah, exactly. Now you have a business that's working for you. Now you're making money while you're sitting on a beach somewhere. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
You're right there. You're at the cusp of getting there. I think in a matter of 6 months, you'll probably be close to that.
I hope so. I'm going to give notice. I think that's the best next step.
100%.
And just grow this.
Yep. I think it's time to quit your job.
I got it.
Fully on board with that. Any other questions?
No, I think we actually hit them all.
Cool. Yeah, I think you got a great business here. I think that you're going to be very successful. I mean, you grew this very quickly in just, a matter of like 6 months, really. You followed all the strategies and advice that I, have in the courses and on the website. So congratulations there. You're actually doing what I'm telling you to do and you're growing it. You're seeing results. And I think that, I think the next step for you is going to be a pretty big one. So congratulations on all your success.
Thank you. No, without those courses, I don't think I would have known the next steps. And I had a friend ask me the other day, she's just like, "Oh, how did you figure all this out?" And I'm just like, "Well, I started listening to this podcast and one thing led to another and I bought some courses and here we are."
There you go. So say one of the best investments you probably have ever made,
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, anyways, I like to end the episode with you asking me a question. You have any questions for me?
If you had to pick a book that you think is fundamental for nurse practitioners and entrepreneurs, what would you say it is?
There's really two books here. I think that the first one is the Toilet Paper Entrepreneur for Starting a Business.
Okay.
Yeah, the Toilet Paper Entrepreneur. It's by Mike Michalowicz. I think it's
I
like
have his Profit First.
okay,
Yeah.
well, there you go. Well, his first book was Toilet Paper Entrepreneur. And it's basically like writing notes on toilet paper. Like, you don't need to spend a shit ton of money to start a business. You really don't. You don't need to take $100,000 loan out from the bank. You don't need to do that. Like, how much money did you spend starting this thing up? $10,000 at most?
Yeah, I think we're at the 10,000 mark right now because we just put all the furniture in the clinic and that was it.
$10,000. You basically invested $10,000 into this business. That's pumping out 10 to 11,000 a month. You're not going to find a better return on your money anywhere. Nowhere.
No.
Right. You're just not going to. And so that's kind of his book. Like, I read that and I was just like, it really made me realize, like, you don't need a fancy clinic. You don't need a saltwater tank in your lobby. You don't need all this stupid stuff. Right. And then from a scaling your business, from a growing your business, from 6 to 7 figures is a good book.
From 6 to 7. Okay, cool.
Yeah. His name's Austin, starts with a Netsley or something like that. Yeah. From 6 to 7 figures. It'll teach you how to grow your business. You're going to get to that point where that book right there is going to be pivotal for you.
I like it. I'll have my husband start reading that now.
Absolutely. I think you should read that book too. So yeah, no, good question. Yeah. Awesome. All right. Well, cool deal. Well, listen, I appreciate you hopping on here. And if you want to do a follow-up, I would love to do a follow-up with you. You have my email.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll touch base here in a few months and let you know how we're doing. This has been great.
Awesome. All right. Well, hey, listen, I appreciate your time.
Thanks. Bye.
All right. Thank you. Bye. All right. Hope everyone enjoyed the episode with Rachel. Rachel is doing very well. She is killing it. She's been open for less than a year, and just in the last 6 months, she's really grown her business. She's generating 11,000 plus a month now in income. So she's killing it. She marketed correctly. She threw all the fishing lines out there. She took whatever bit, right? So let the world tell you what they want. Okay, I've said this before. Let the world tell you what they want. Don't force stuff down their mouth. So just listen to what your patients want. And I think a big point here is don't let things that are out of your control prevent you from doing something. There's a lot of stuff going on in the world that it's completely out of your control. Why worry about it? Seriously, why worry about it? Sure, could semaglutide be taken off the market? It's possible. Sure, it's possible. But guess what? If it does, you pivot and you just offer something else. It's not the end of the world. It's not going to close down your business. It's like if the FDA decided to yank hormones from the market, I'd have to pivot with my men's health clinic, but I would pivot. So do not let things that are out of your control prevent you from success. All right. Hope everyone enjoyed this episode. Talk to you guys later. Thanks. Bye. Thank you for listening to the show. Quick legal disclaimer. The content of this podcast is meant for informational and entertainment purposes only and should not be used as legal, financial, medical, regulatory, or practice-specific advice. For information pertaining to your specific legal, financial, medical, or practice-specific needs, please be sure to consult with your lawyer, CPA, medical director, and or your state's practice laws and the most up-to-date clinical guidelines. As always, do your due diligence when it comes to any information found online and in podcasts. The content in this podcast is copyrighted by Galaxy Medical Southwest 2023 and cannot be duplicated, rebroadcasted, or reproduced without our written permission.